Hello everybody, another story from Grandad, and today I got my little friend with me, Magic. I think you can see that Magic's a unicorn, but it's not a normal unicorn where they're white and they've got all fancy colours. He's more of a magic unicorn, and the reason he wants to sit with me today is because I'm going to read about Morgan and me, and you can see who's in there. Let's start. Do you ever lie on your back and gaze at the sky, wishing you were something other than you are? In a far corner of the land of later, there was a beautiful princess who was always dreaming of being someone other than herself. When her chores in the castle were to be done, she could be found lying on her back, dreaming of paupers, princesses and dewdrops. She would dream she was a pauper, for she was. She would dream she was a princess, for she was. She would dream she was a dewdrop, but she really wasn't a dewdrop. One day, as she was watching the clouds puff and billow across the sky, her father shouted at her from the castle, "I told you before to clean your room. Now I find you've done nothing all day but dream." "I'll be there in a minute," she shouted. But instead of minding her father, she decided to take a walk in the woods. "I don't need to clean up my room right now," she thought as she walked along. "I'll do it just a little bit later." She walked deeper and deeper into the forest. The trees made a beautiful canopy over her head. The moss at her feet felt like a velvet carpet. "I should go back before I get lost." "I'll go back, but just a little later." She walked on and on into the forest. "I should find something to eat, for I'm getting very hungry. I will look for food, but just a little bit later." The forest became darker. The path became twisted and gnarled. Brambles were tearing at her clothes. But the little princess knew the path must be pretty rough ahead. Besides, she could always turn around and go back. As she walked farther, the dark shadows began closing in on her. After what seemed like hours and hours of walking, she saw a glimmer of sunlight streaking through the branches. "Oh, that must be a meadow." With that, she hurried through the stickers and darkness to the sunlight ahead. Happily, she stepped into the clearing. "Oh, what a beautiful meadow," she thought. "There are flowers growing in every corner, and the clover, just smell the clover." The princess was absolutely delighted. Never had she seen anything quite so beautiful. She was still hungry, and she knew she had to get home. But she knew she could always do that, just a little later. She was having so much fun that she had run down the meadow nearly 4 times before she noticed a large shape leaning against a tree. She stopped and looked, and standing next to the tree was the largest unicorn she'd ever seen. The princess was a little frightened. She had always loved horses, zebras and giraffes, and the unicorn was much like a horse. Boldly she walked right up to him and asked, "Why are you standing there, Mr. Unicorn?" Then she noticed the unicorn's beautiful pearl horn was caught in a branch of the tree. "My name is Morgan," he said, "and if you have a moment, I will tell you my tale." It seemed that Morgan was a fun-loving and very playful unicorn, and day after day he would play tag with the bumblebees in the meadow. But one day, as he was frisking about trying to catch a bumblebee, There he is, frisking around, look. One landed right on his horn. Morgan was shocked at having the bumblebee so close, and he looked up to see what it was doing. Now, as we all know, if we don't watch where we're going, we'll run into something. And sure enough, Morgan ran straight into the tree and stuck his horn into the branch. Desperately, the bumblebees gathered round and tried to set Morgan free, but it was to no avail. Morgan was left all alone in the shadow of the tree, helplessly stuck. There he is, stuck in a tree. Silly Morgan. Silly Morgan. Morgan asked the little princess if she would free him. If she would only help, Morgan promised to be hers for all of his days. The princess thought for a moment and said, "I'm sorry you got stuck in the tree, Morgan. I know I should help you, and I will, but just a little later." Thoughtlessly, the little princess played at her leisure, and when she finally became bored, she decided she would help Morgan. She found a very thorny rose bush and carefully broke off a branch. Then she climbed up on Morgan's back and, using the rose branch as a saw, began to cut through the limb. At last Morgan was free. Morgan was very grateful, even though the little princess had taken a very long time. Morgan followed her obediently through the clover. The little princess was having so much fun she didn't see the lily pond in the middle of the meadow. And slipping on the bank, she fell headlong into the water. Coughing and spluttering, she crawled onto a lily pad and called for Morgan to help her. There she is, sat on the lily pad, all wet through. Morgan tossed his mane and smiled a wise smile and said, "I'm sorry you fell in the pond, Princess. I know I should help you, and I will, but just a little later." "But I'll catch cold sitting on this lily pad," said the princess. "Won't you please help me now?" And sadly the princess thought a moment. Then she remembered all the times that her father had asked her to clean her room, and she'd always put it off till later. She even knew now how Morgan must have felt when she told him she'd help him later. With a tear in her eye and a lump in her throat, she said, "Morgan, I'm sorry for always living in the land of later. Please help me. I promise always to do what should be done now, instead of just a little later." Morgan nodded his head and slowly lowered his great horn so the princess could climb from the water. Here's he getting her out. Then and forever, Morgan and the little princess were the closest of friends. Now when the princess and Morgan have finished all their chores, they lie on the grass and dream of being something other than what they are. They dream of paupers and princesses and dewdrops, and sometimes, just so he doesn't scare anybody, Morgan, being a little magic, doesn't wear his horn. That's why you like it, don't you? Yes. Did you like it as well? Oh, you've gone to sleep on me. All right, fair enough. And that's it for today. Bye, kids.